Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your wisdom, your genius, and your joy. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 26 years. Through two businesses as a success coach and a business strategist, and prior to that, an entertainment publicist and a talent manager for 2 decades. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic to you and for you, but you will live the beautiful life that's meant just for you. You'll come to learn that following your joy is a life and a business strategy. Listen in for inspiring entrepreneurial stories and solocasts that illuminate how by trusting your intuition, you'll create a fulfilling result. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Well, hello, friends. How was your summer? And how are you? So today, I'm enjoying the last part of the summer, and I know that this episode you're going to be listening to sometime in September. So it's actually August when we're recording this, and I'm enjoying the summer. There's a really nice cool breeze here in the South Bay. I'm in Malaga Cove in my sweet Italian village by the sea. So grateful, to be here. And I've been in the South Bay for about 15 years. And the story behind finding this Italian village by the sea is related to my big life change in 2017 through 2018. And that story, if you don't know it, I know a lot of, obviously friends and clients know this, but those of you that might be new, is that I had honored my big, long time desire to live and work in Italy, which I did actually for an entire month in August 2017 in gorgeous Florence, Italy. And it is absolutely as dreamy as you see in the videos and the photos, and especially that whole Tuscany region. So what happened, and I'm going to connect the dots here with who my fabulous guest is, so hang in there. What happened that inspired the month-long stay was I hit a big burnout in my business after 9 years in coaching. And again, that was in 2017. So I hired my coach, my life coach, to help me recover my dreams and find a way to make money with joy. Because I'll tell you something, as a woman entrepreneur, it wasn't happening, and I was incredibly burned out. Felt like a manufactured version of myself, and it was all the masculine, and I wasn't honoring the feminine, as in the intuition, the creativity, the fun, the adventure, the play, the freedom, right? And so, yes, as in that session, and it was a deep, intensive coaching session, about 5 hours, my coach pulled out of me my 20-year dream to live, travel, and work in Italy and in US. So long story short, we planned I love this, we planned a year life makeover. And I kicked that off with a month, right? Long stay in Florence, Italy. What a great place to begin that, right? So that was June 1st, 2017, when that session happened. And by July 30th, almost 2 months later, I was on a plane to Rome, Italy, and then a train to Florence. And I did all the planning prior, right? This was not spontaneous whatsoever. I did a tremendous amount of planning. But it was an incredible experience. It was definitely the eat, pray, love journey. I changed everything from the inside out. And I lived the laptop lifestyle, and I loved it. And that began then my new business model and who I was from the inside out. And this brings me to my special guest today and the topic that we'll be discussing, which is how to get out of debt and live a life of freedom, joy, and adventure. Hello. Right. So I didn't, I personally didn't need to get out of debt to go to Italy, because being a money relationship coach, I was pretty much had all my ducks in a row. And thank God I paid off my debt and I handled all my money stuff and my money story years prior. Thank God for that. But I gave myself, and here's the piece that I know my guest is going to enjoy, and she'll probably respond to that as we talk, is that I gave myself permission to finally enjoy my money and allow myself to add pleasure and fun in my life, rather than be super strict and practical and save all my money for later. I can do both, and so can you. All right. So this is about being smart about money, but it doesn't mean deprivation either. It doesn't mean, and I call it the masculine. This is just a principle, everyone. It's not a gender. My principles that I teach, the masculine, feminine, is that we need the masterful blend of both. You need the masculine, the structure, the systems, the making of the money, the paying off the debt, the savings, all of those things that need to happen when you're an entrepreneur, right? But you also must, right, bring in, as I said, the feminine of life, which is the fun and the adventure and the play and the intuition and creativity, all of that, so that you don't burn out. And you're supposed to be living. Your money is for you to enjoy. It's not to go stash away and don't touch it until you're retired. Please live part of your life now with the money. At least that's mine. You can certainly, respond to that when we talk. But so here's then, if you are in debt and a millennial or know a millennial, and you want a plan to achieve your freedom lifestyle, then you will absolutely love my guest, Justine Nelson of Debt Free Millennials. So before I introduce her, let me give you her background, her official background, and then she can tell you her inspiring story that got her to be this global influencer. And let me tell you, great stuff. Really, really love this. She's brilliant at what she does. And I was so impressed when I met her, which was just, less than a month ago in Irvine, when we were both attending the Women in Money conference hosted by FinCon. I loved her story so much, what she was doing. And that's why I invited her to the podcast, especially for millennials, because I do personally have a lot of millennials as clients, and I know many millennials and parents of millennials listen to this podcast. So you're going to really, really enjoy this. So Justine Nelson is the CEO of Debt Free Millennials, a personal finance education business and YouTube channel. Gotta go watch it. It's fantastic. And helping overwhelmed millennials feel good about money, overcome debt, and crush their financial goals. After paying off $35,000 in student loan debt in 2.5 years, on a $37,000 salary, Justine proudly proclaimed her debt-free status on Dave Ramsey's acclaimed radio show. Since then, Justine has been named a YouTuber to watch in Forbes for her simple, actionable financial tips, exploring debt, saving, and budgeting for craft beer. She's been featured in numerous media outlets, and her work in personal finance has been recognized nationally. In 2022, Justine published her first book, Investing for Kids activity book, 65 activities about saving, investing, and growing your money. So, Justine, welcome to Follow Your Joy.
Thank you. I am wow. I'm listening to you read back that bio. I'm like, holy cow.
I know.
Sometimes you kind of forget to celebrate your accomplishments. So that was great. And thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hear you. It's like we kind of do our life. And then when someone else is telling us our story, like, Oh, okay. I think I need to acknowledge and kind of stop and smell the roses a little bit, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, look, we have obviously a couple decades difference in age, but and that's what impressed me about you is that you've lived quite a life for your young years, and you've got a lot of wisdom to share, and I just think it's just terrific.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so here's what I want you to start with is, let's tell my listeners, share the highlights of your journey, meaning why this focus, right? And what happened to you in your personal life that inspired you to help others. In other words, we have a saying, you may have heard of this. It's called our mess is our message.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know there was a defining moment while you were in college that changed everything for you. So take us on that journey.
Yes, I'd love to share that story with you. In 2008, I was a sophomore in college doing my homework in my sorority house, and I had received a phone call from my mom. In that call, she told me that she had been laid off as a result of the recession and that her and my dad could no longer support me financially. To say that I was overwhelmed is an understatement. I was very heavily reliant on my parents financially at that time and wasn't really interested in taking ownership. But my mom said, "You can do this. You're going to get a part time job and figure it out." I rushed to the student loan financial aid office and said, "Where do I sign?" Much like most college students, I took out even more student loans, even more than I really should have, and started living off of those loans to pay for rent and food throughout my time in school. Now, what was really interesting about this is that I felt that my financial situation was only happening to me.
Mm.
I was quite embarrassed about it and realized that a lot of my sorority sisters had dads that had white collared shirts and wore white collared shirts to work, and my dad wore a blue collared shirt to work.
Mm.
And so it was out of this poor but proud mentality that I was feeling very financially stuck. Once I graduated from school and started getting those repayment notifications in the mail from the Department of Education, these are very official notices in the mail that scare the bejesus out of you. I realized that I needed to do something about this. And by the time I had graduated, I received an internship making $10 an hour at an advertising agency and was back at home with my parents. It was not the post grad life status that I wanted. I actually wanted so much more. I wanted to live in an urban city in a high rise apartment, do the happy hours, do the sushi dates, and I was getting none of that. And so because I got those notification and something I know Marla you talk about a lot is listening to my intuition on, am I meant for greater things than this current situation? And do I have agency to make a different outcome for myself?
Yeah.
And that was the starting point to paying off that debt so quickly.
It's incredible. I mean, that's why, it's one of the reasons why you have such an impact. That's a tall order. That is a really tall order. So, huge acknowledgement to you for doing that. Yeah.
It was a lot of mindset of believing in myself and really
Mhm.
finding support. My parents were super supportive. In fact,
Mhm.
they gave me my very first personal finance book. And I think in a lot of ways had helped me put the gleam in my eye for debt-free millennials way before it was even a thing for me. The fact that they gave me some of the knowledge and said, use these tools, learn from these experts, and you'll find your way out. And it planted the seed long before I even knew what was underneath the surface.
That's fantastic. What was the book that they gave you?
It was it was the old version of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. I
Oh,
think before it was called Financial Peace
yeah,
University.
yeah.
Yeah, it was the old school book.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I had done I mean, God, the success of that. I've done that. I've done his Financial Peace University, which I enjoyed it because was I in 10 years now or 11 years, 10 or 11 years now in my coaching around the money stuff. So I went in there as a money coach, listening to how they teach this stuff and how, and it was really good. It was really, really good. And I enjoyed listening to a different perspective, right, from how I coach it. And obviously, it's a global success. So you're one of the Dave Ramsey. I love it. One of the Dave Ramsey success stories. Yeah.
Yes, so I ended up going on his radio show in 2014 and proclaiming my debt-free status. Since then, I've really taken a modern millennial approach to money and really forming my own opinions of, yeah, $1,000 in an emergency fund really is not enough to cover today's emergencies and unexpected expenses.
Very good.
And taking various deviant approaches from the path that he teaches. Every financial and money expert is going to have their opinions on what works best for them and for their clients. And my advice is to really find a voice or voices that resonate with you that you can follow and stick with them. And
Mm.
because personal finance has really blossomed as an industry, there are multiple experts and voices that you can learn from.
Mm-hmm. That's fab. I love that. So modern, go back. I love this term, modern millennials way of doing money.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what I mean by the modern millennial approach is that we don't want to do scorched earth approaches to getting out of debt. We want to enjoy our lives. So, rather than putting all of your discretionary income towards those debt payments,
Mhm.
let's still prioritize the debt and see how quickly we can get out of it. And also do the things that you love to do and spend money on. For me, that really was travel. And so while I was
Love it.
paying off the 35K in student loan
Mhm.
debt and making at that time, I think I was bringing home $2,000 per month in take home and then increased it to around 24.
Okay.
I was able to put away money for a vacation fund and I went on really amazing trips to Puerto Rico, whitewater rafting in California, hiking in Colorado, beaches in Florida. I did all of that in the span of 2 years and still paid off the debt.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about when in the introduction, when I said, please, yes, you need to be smart about your money, but please have fun in your life.
Yes.
Right? It's in a mindset, right? It's a whole mindset. And I love that you've captured that, obviously, because that is millennials mindset versus the baby boomers, right? Where everything is like, nope, you got to pay it off first before you can go have fun. I'm like, no, that's
That
not okay.
Yes. And another thing that you said there, the baby boomer and millennial generation mentalities. When I was in school,
Mhm.
a lot of what my professors had pushed was this corporate route and was to find the Ernst and Youngs, the Price Waterhouse Coopers, the Cargills of the world and really get in young and then go all the way up to the top.
Mhm.
That was the pathway that they wanted us to take. Now, I was a marketing major, so all of my classes had a business focus. And perhaps maybe that's why I felt that message was pushed so much, is because I
Mm.
was in the College of Business.
Right.
I didn't see that path forward as an entrepreneur until honestly, until I moved out of Kansas. So at the time I was in school at Kansas State University. And then when I moved to San Diego, it was like the doors opened up. There was so much more open-mindedness and positivity surrounding starting your own business and being an entrepreneur that it started the wheel started to turn,
Yeah.
and I started to think, oh, could I do this, and getting curious about that.
Hmm. So instead of the corporate route, right, that typically is, it's taught in college, you went the entrepreneurial route.
Yeah, I started out in the
Mm,
corporate path.
mm,
I truly
mhm,
did, and I was kind of
mhm.
figuring out which industry was right for me. I've always been a strong writer and had a really strong background in writing,
Right.
and then it wasn't until I realized that, oh, this passion for personal finance could actually be coupled with my marketing skill set to launch my own business.
Very good. Yeah. And that's what I have found, because I do with San Diego State, which is my alumni. I love this. I'm part of their mentorship program through their career services department, and it's called the Aztec Mentorship Program. And I've been doing that since 2014. Every year, or I should say every semester, with the exception of, I didn't have a mentee this semester, but they're typically, it's one, and there's a database of mentors, and the either the junior or senior, they join the program, they go into the database, and they choose a mentor they feel that's going to be a match for them, and send out a request. And the point is, I've had wonderful young women, junior and seniors, and it's interesting is that many of them are of the mindset, which I was thrilled to help, which is I think why they chose me, because I was a woman entrepreneur, is that they didn't want to do the, typical route. They wanted to do the entrepreneurial route. And this came from not only obviously millennials, but it came from and then the Gen Zs. And
Mhm.
I loved that. I'm like, I'm all for that. Let's me help
Yes.
you. So
Yes.
yeah, and the mentorship, it was just, again, it was a semester in helping them get clear on their vision on what's going to happen after college, right? So amen to entrepreneurship. And look, there's a place for obviously corporate. We must have that. And there are people that love having jobs like that. So we just happen to, have a different type of passion. So good on you. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, all right, doing life and work by a barometer of joy is my platform, obviously, right? It's not only part of how I coach, but it's the name, obviously, of the podcast. So, what brings you the most joy in your work and your business?
Okay, this is so great because I get the most joy out of working one-on-one with clients on their financial situation. Oftentimes, people will come to me with a lot of debt, lack of budget, and honestly, lack of financial confidence. So there's a lot of fear and overwhelm. I love seeing the transformation and growth that happens over the 90 days that we work together,
Yep.
where the anxiety melts away and out comes this very financially confident and capable person or couple. I actually just wrapped the program with a couple this week, and it was so amazing because when they first came to me, they were doing their finances completely separate.
Mm,
She had an account, he had an account. She was paying for daycare over here, he was paying for rent over here, and it just did not seem that they could keep up with the spending. There was an overspending problem.
mm,
So I had suggested that they combine their accounts
mm.
into one and that they track very closely their spending together,
Yeah.
whether it be a spreadsheet or a financial
Mhm,
notebook or
mhm.
even a whiteboard on their refrigerator door.
Sure.
The last call that we had, I said, "How did you do?" And they said, "Justine, this was amazing. We actually had a surplus of cash at the end of the month. We've never had this. We were able to pay off 2 credit cards because we had the extra cash. Just
Fantastic.
having the awareness of what each other was doing and having these
Yep.
open communications has strengthened our marriage. I
Mm,
almost cried on the call because
yeah.
I was so happy for them. You could just feel that confidence
Mm,
radiating from them, and
mhm.
just seeing that transformation just brings me the most joy and energy. I love pouring into that in my business. So I hope I can continue to help impact people in this way.
Oh, great story. I mean, there's nothing better than, and I too experience this as I'm coaching around money relationship with clients, is the financial relaxation, right? Because, in our society, I mean, we tend to live in obviously the fear and the worry and the doubt and the lack and the, shame and the guilt all around money stuff. And when we can have an expert like yourself to take us out of that shift, change the way we operate, change the way we make decisions, because money is there to work for us, not against us. And I emphasize this, which I know you can relate with, is I emphasize this as I'm teaching it, which is money is innocent of all those judgments placed upon it, right? Money, it's a tool. It's a
Mm-hmm.
tool to fund your dreams and desires. It's a tool of goods, to exchange of goods and services. It's a tool to expand the money, work, have it employed for you, make money from money. In other words, it's there for us in a beautiful way, if you will. But because of various circumstances and imprints that we've had, no fault of anyone's, right? Until they learn differently, is that, yeah, we can actually have money work for us.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
amazing.
And a lot of times it really does stem back to how you learned about money as a child
Correct.
and what that looked like as a child, as a teen, as a
Yep.
college student. How
Mhm.
did you interact with it? Was it passive or active? Those learnings, or maybe what you didn't learn, has resulted in how you handle money now as an adult.
That is
So
right.
whether you avoid it, worship it,
Right.
can't seem to get enough of it, those are the things that you have to address back in your past, heal those things so that you can move forward and make positive changes.
Well said. Well said. That is the money story, that you and I both help our clients change. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so in that platform of joy is, and we kind of referred to this a few minutes ago about intuition, the importance of listening to your intuition before you listen to the logic. Okay. This is the platform, right, that I stand by, I live by, I love teaching. And I'm thrilled that we're, sharing this. We're kind of in alignment with it. So it's about following your intuition. So share with us a story where you followed your intuition in spite of the logic, in spite of the practicality knocking at your door, right? Tell us about when you followed your intuition that you created a joyful, fulfilling result.
Okay, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but when we moved from small town Kansas to San Diego in 2015, I
Mhm.
really was at a crossroads in my career. I had been doing corporate marketing. I had done some marketing for my university actually. And so when I got to San Diego, I said, what am I going to do? And it was out of that I started doing some marketing consulting and was offered a full-time job as a marketing consultant, making more money than I had ever made. I mean, 6 figures plus, and that was well beyond what I was making in Kansas. At that time, my husband and I were talking about this idea for a personal finance business because so many of my friends and family were tapping me on the shoulder and asking me for help with their debt, with their budgets. And I was doing this for free because I loved to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
loved thinking about it, and I could see the clear path for so many of my friends and family. All you need to do is this, this, this. So we're having these conversations at home, and I'm getting this job offer. And I'll never forget, I was driving down the five, headed back down from Carlsbad to San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and the five hugs the Pacific Ocean. So a lot of times you'll get glimpses of the ocean as you're driving down. And I was looking at the ocean, and it was just this quietness and realizing that there's this vast, great, expansive opportunity out there for you, as wide as this ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that that was my intuition kind of telling me, are you going to get that expansiveness with this consulting job? Or are you going to go for it? Do you have the balls to go ahead and do this and make this happen? And so I got home and I knew I had to turn it down. Even though I had no offers,
Mm-hmm.
I was not making any money at it. It wasn't even launched out in the world. There was no website, but I knew that that was where I was meant to be because that's where the passion was. And I knew if I'm passionate about this work, the money will come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because San Diego is a very high cost of living area. And it would have been much easier for me to perhaps go back home to Kansas City and make the business work.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that I was in the right location, that San Diego really did feel like a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and that debt free millennials was going to happen and I was going to figure it out. And that's how intuition led me to that. 6 years later, we're still running the business.
Amen. And doing really, really well.
And doing really,
Yeah,
really well.
really well. In fact, you have 75,000 followers on YouTube. Is that right?
It should be close to that by the time this episode is out. It'll be past that.
Oh
So
God,
yeah, my mission is to hit 100,000 subscribers for the Debt Free Millennials channel by the end of this year.
you will do it.
I'm
You,
I'm manifesting that,
you
putting that
are
out there.
manifesting that. That is for sure. Oh, that's a great story. Yeah, it's being that I come from, I live from, I teach from a metaphysical approach to life, meaning there's more than just our five senses at play here. And I call it connecting the dots. And when you go back to looking from a bird's eye view, or a better yet, a drone view, of your life, what happened to you in college was setting you up for this. You know that, right? Now,
I'm vigorously shaking my head. Yes.
yes, she's like, yes, 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 yes. Is that's where that our message comes from. And you've done a beautiful job of navigating it and just being courageous and taking the bootstraps and like, let's go. Right.
Yeah.
And I just, again, that's why I really wanted to have you share your story with my audience. It's like, look, she listened to her intuition from and I call it the gift and the challenge. Right. You had that challenge, you turned it into a gift, and now you're obviously impacting other lives with that. And the whole thing is just superb. Yeah.
I've always been a very introspective person and have had journals and diaries since I was very young, 10, 11,
Mm-hmm.
and have kept them. And I find that writing stream of consciousness really helps me connect with my intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and also following guided meditations to get kind of in a quiet spot to figure out. But for me, there's always kind of this quiet sense of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
For example, this past year, I had hit a plateau in revenue with my business and was thinking to myself, why can't I just break through to the next revenue stream? Why can't I just get to the next level? And I had told my mastermind group, and I said, I feel like I need some mentorship around this. And it was out of that a couple weeks later, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I saw this woman who does branding strategy. It's not necessarily what you were looking for, but maybe it could help." Lo and behold, it was exactly what I needed to clarify my voice, vision, and message so that I could speak more clearly about my offerings. And
Nice.
then it started to roll in. I was getting mentorship on corporate speaking and coaching. I found a business coach, and so it was and the perfect people to walk into my life and my business. As you know, those things are so
Mhm.
intertwined. And
Mhm.
I found that there was this rhythm. I'm still walking through it, actually. I'm
Yeah.
still in the middle of this process.
Mm.
And it's so interesting to see that the intuition just I stuck with it, and out of that have been incredible results.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well done. Really well done.
Oh,
That's
thank
it,
you.
is that you took action, right? You took action on all of those pieces. So I'm looking forward to, I know you mentioned that you're in the middle of that rebrand. So we will
Yes.
be looking forward to seeing new photos and new language, if you will, on your website and your marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it.
Great.
It'll be so
Yeah.
fun.
Wonderful. Okay, good. So let's see, a couple of things to wrap this up. All right. So based on your experience, and I always like to, ask this, what key advice can you give? And I know you have a lot, but let's kind of zero in on what can you give our listeners, our creative entrepreneurs, as far as some advice.
Seek out mentorship. Uh, no entrepreneur can find success on their own.
Right.
You can't do it by yourself.
Mm-mm.
Hiring mentors, coaches, teachers that have been there, done that, and can give you not only their expertise, but can get you there faster
Mhm.
has been a game changer in my business. Such a game changer, not only in my business, but in my confidence as an entrepreneur and business owner,
Yeah.
being able to walk the walk and talk the talk because I really studied under women. Actually, I had studied under all women who said, this is how I've done it. This is how I built a successful business, and I'm going to teach you how to do the same and beyond. What I love about working with one of my mentors was she had me write out my vision as a professional entrepreneur, as a mother, as a friend personally. And so I wrote everything down, and she said, at the end of that, I want you to say, I'm creating all of this and something even better still, because what I've written down here could
Right.
actually be even more than what I've written down.
That is correct. That is absolutely 100% correct. And that has to do with, and I love that she did that for you. What I typically do with my clients is I'll have them actually create a vision as if it's already happened, but add to that at the very end, or even an affirmation that I'm going to have them write, or something better. That's
Yes.
that's the
That
qualifying statement,
yes.
or something better, because of universal law. This is what we're talking about, is that our fabulous, brain and our thoughts are limited compared to what's available out there that we would never come up with on our own. And when we let go of the control, right? When we let go of the control of how it's supposed to look, definitely have the vision, but know that something even better is out there that isn't going to come from your logic and your practicality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you believe and have the trust and the faith that there is even something bigger for you, or better, or more efficient, whatever, fill in the blank. Be open to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Declaring it can be so powerful.
Mm.
And this is something that I've had to work on too, is getting myself out of the how. Stop thinking about the details of how do I do this. One of my
It.
visions is to be on the Today Show. That's one of my visions. But I'm putting this out on your
It's
podcast. I
already.
will I will be on the Today Show speaking with Hoda and Savannah.
Love it.
And so I'm like, how do I do this? How do I?
Don't figure it out. Just put it out there, darling.
No, I exactly get out of the how. And you know what? When we were at that Women in Money conference,
Mm-hmm.
the MC, Lauren Cabello, actually had a long-term spot on the Today Show.
She did.
And I was there and she was there. And what do you know? I didn't have to think about how. All I needed was to introduce myself to Lauren
Yeah.
and set up a phone call, which
Yep.
I did,
Yeah.
and have a conversation with her about how did you do this? How can I do this?
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. In fact, I remember you because we sat next to each other, and I remember you looked over to Lauren. She was sitting at the table behind us, and you go, "I need to go introduce myself to her." I remember that she's like, "I'll see you in a little bit."
Yes, I said
Yeah.
I will miss this chance while she's
Yeah.
finishing her lunch. I'll wait till she takes her last bite, and then I'm going right in and sitting down and
Yeah.
introducing myself.
Yeah. That's a really terrific example of, yeah, you can't plan that. Just put it out there, know where you want to land, and allow the how to show up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's what,
there's no way I would have known she
right.
had connections to that.
Yep.
I just showed up.
Yep. Beautiful. Yes. 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 See, the stuff works. Okay.
It does.
So good, good, good. Lastly, let everyone know where can they get in touch with you? What would you like to offer? Let's get people into your world.
Yes. So the first and easiest way is to
Mm.
hop over to YouTube and subscribe to the Debt Free Millennials channel. Search Debt Free Millennials or youtube.com/debt free millennials. And I post all of my content there on personal finance. If your personal finance situation feels a little sticky and you're kind of unsure of what direction to take, I find it best to write everything down. The perfect tool for you is the budget toolkit. The budget toolkit is the number one tool that I used to pay off that $35,000 in student loan debt very quickly. That is a free download for you. In fact, that is still the exact same budget spreadsheet that my husband and I use to track our monthly income and expenses, which we show on YouTube every month through the form of our monthly series, Beers and Budgeting. Yes, I had to convince him to come to the budget meetings with a really nice craft beer. It works.
I'll provide the beer and the spreadsheets. You just come and we'll get it done.
You show up, drink the beer, and then look at the budget.
That's so smart.
So the toolkit is, you can access the toolkit at debtfreemillennials.com/toolkit.
Great. All right. We'll put that obviously in the show notes. So wonderful. And you're on Instagram too, so they can follow you on Instagram. Yeah.
Yes, I do a lot of just behind the scenes and a lot of everyday life with my husband and my daughter. I have a 2-year-old, so it's so fun. Follow me over there too.
Excellent. All right. Well, we could talk for another hour. Thank you. Pleasure having you. Right.
Thank you so much, Marla. This was so fun to chat about finances with somebody who has really walked this path and guiding others as well.
Yeah, it's kind of kindred spirits, aren't we?
Kindred spirits, you got it. And living in the South Bay together.
And living in the South Bay too. Look at that. Yes, we definitely have to for sure get together. So, all right, everyone. I do hope and trust that you enjoyed this as much as I did. Lots of inspiring content, and you're always going to find, and I know you're hearing that in every episode, but when you follow your joy, right? When you follow your joy and you listen to your intuition first, okay, Then use your logic and your practicality to put feet on that, right? Intuition idea. Now you're living the life that's meant for you. Yeah?
Yes.
All right, everyone. So follow your joy, and I will be here in the next episode. All right. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your fall. Thanks for listening in. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my 3 free downloads to up-level your business and your life. How about you take a screenshot of this episode and tag me on Instagram by sharing your highlights of what you learned today? I'd love to connect there with you. Until next episode, take care.